Oh, are you mad at God that he made hell and people go there? It's really just a practical matter of if-then logic. Look, God's creation is a machine. This big one right here, you could say. And he took this same design and scaled it down and made everything else out of that same design. So the big machine is filled with a bunch of little machines, smaller and smaller as you go, that are just smaller versions of itself. A fractal reality like Mandelbrot's set, or the golden ratio. Nested toroids it is. What? Everything in reality is nested toroids, or a toroid nested in bigger toroids. God's creation is a machine in that it's got a bunch of moving parts and pieces and spits out a product. And being that it's full of these machines, which are just smaller versions of itself, why, God's creation is producing things on all levels all the time. It's like a giant factory full of smaller and smaller factories, all with a point and a purpose, the product that is produced. You could say God made a game full of ever-increasingly smaller games, but it's not a game. This is what we call real life, whatever level we're on, whatever language we're speaking. And I don't mean English to French, I mean grasshopper to oak tree. For instance, the sun, moon, and stars right around this level right here speak a universal language everyone on earth can understand. Everything on earth can understand it. What do they say? Ye must be born again. That's what they say, literally. But all of our games are based on this machine right here without a single doubt. All of our simulations, all of our stories, all of our movies and books, it's all based on this. You want to know what that is? That's the hero's journey right there. How do I know? It's toroidal vortex, and the hero's journey is just a toroidal vortex. Wow, Anakin Skywalker was just spring, summer, Darth Vader in winter. Ye must be born again. So God made his creation, a machine I say, with the direct intention of producing a bunch of living beings, innumerable, all the way up into eternal life in paradise. That's the goal. Like soccer, that's the goal. Like any good adventure, the conclusion is riches unimaginable. Yeah, okay, but there's scary stuff like death. Don't fear that, he says repeatedly. Look, it's not like he just left us hanging without an instruction manual. He's been telling us the whole, look, the sun, moon, and the stars are the instruction manual. Like, it does get cloudy sometimes, but overall, you know. He says, yeah, there's some scary, even painful stuff. Look, no pain, no gain. It's like page 1. Except a kernel of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abides alone. But if it dies, it brings forth much fruit. Therefore, do not fear. It's just part of the process. It's a machine that's going to ascend you all the way into eternal bliss. It's the point of it.
Why did God do all this?
That's why. But reality is if-then logic and must be. What else is there? Cause is followed by what? Say it together. Effect. If you follow God's instructions for the machine that he has made, then you will ascend into eternal bliss. If you do not follow God's instructions to ascend into eternal, like how you actually make it, if you don't do the things that God says for how this machine works and this is what you must do and you will ascend, if you don't do that, then you will by default descend. Why? Because them's the rules. It's a machine. Don't go sticking your fingers between the gears. You're liable to lose your whole arm.
Well, why'd you make the machine then?
'Cause we want to drive cars, dude. Yeah, a chainsaw is a poisonous, deadly adder in your hands that'll eat your face off if you are not careful. This I know. But I love what I can do with it, don't I? I did. In the bush of Alaska for a solid decade, sure loved that chainsaw. Even though, with just me and that saw, miles from everybody, can't even get a vehicle out there if it ain't a snow machine. And you might not get that back there. Knowing that if I get careless even for a moment, it's likely I won't come home and they won't even know where to find me. They'd have to wait for the birds. I kept bringing the wood home to my family, though. I used the safety protocol, the instructions for how to use that chainsaw so that it didn't bite my nose off. Guess what? It didn't bite my nose off. And I ain't mad at the chainsaw that it could have. Knowing the responsibility was on me to follow those instructions, and I did, diligently. That's why safety first, and if you want to goof off, you're going to have to do that somewhere else. I intend to come home. Got folk depending on me. And if some of my peers wonder why I don't play silly with the gospel of Jesus Christ, it's because I know how to use a chainsaw. By the instructions, and so will I use the gospel by its instructions. Don't turn to the left or to the right. Don't get distracted using the gospel now. Fall headlong into catastrophe. No thank you. Safety first. God made a machine designed to ascend souls into eternal bliss. But nothing here is involuntary anywhere that you look. Everything, everywhere is choosing to obey God. Because without choice, there is no machine. It's an important part of the equation. Because it's binary code is what's running it. Yes or no. Yes or no. In a series of decisions we make all day, every day. We're trying to get up here or we just stay steady. You can know what I'm saying is true by observing the phases of the moon, that turning of the shadow of doubt upon the face thereof. We and everything else does that also, wax and wane between believing and not believing, acting right, not acting right. The key to success here is that when you fall, you get back up again. A righteous man falls, rises again. Whereas an unrighteous man gets comfortable down there, stays. There is an option, a choice, to aim for up here or down here. But God has told us, not just in the Bible, but in His creation, by everything that He made, by everything we can observe, that if we follow His commands, we ascend into heaven. And if we decide not to, we will by default fall down into hell. It's a real practical machine based on if-then logic. If you do, then you will. If you don't, then you will not. If you want to be mad that that is the logic that God chose, I'll ask you to list any other options. Find one example from anywhere in reality how that would work. It's all if-then. It's all if-then. It's all cause and effect. He didn't make it so that you would fall down into hell. But you see this right here? It's an ascension machine. In order to get that to work, you got to have the descension part. It's got to be an option there. I don't know how else to explain this. Seems like the easiest thing in the world. He's made it no secret how to use the machine properly. But that's boring. Requires discipline and restraint. What if we just want to have fun here and do what we want, not worry about what comes next? We're going to live in the moment. You only live once. In one place at one time. And then you either move up or you fall down. According to the design, and the instructions are pretty clear. I mean, this has been written for thousands of years. Deuteronomy 30. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you. Why would he do that? Because everything in heaven and earth witnesses to the truth of what he's about to say, so he can call them to witness. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and curses. Therefore, choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live, that thou mayest love the Lord thy God, and that thou mayest obey his voice, and that thou mayest cleave unto him. This is not a game. You want that eternal life, you've got to cleave unto the Lord your God to get it. For he is thy life, and the length of thy days, that thou mayest dwell in the land which the Lord sware unto thy fathers. And that's the promised land. Heaven reconciled to earth in eternity. And here's the whole formula in plain English. 2,000 years ago, God spoke again through his own mouth. He manifested as a man and dwelt among us. Here's what he said, John 15. If ye keep my commandments, Jesus told us, ye shall abide in my love, even as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. Jesus did the Deuteronomy 30 thing for us and then gave us new commands. These things have I spoken unto you, that my joy might remain in you, and that your joy might be full, all the way into eternal bliss. This is my commandment, that ye love one another as I have loved you. Love is the command. That's the formula. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man should lay down his life for his friends. Jesus demonstrated that for us. Verse 14 says, ye are my friends if You do whatsoever I command you. Jesus is the door to heaven, and he only lets his friends in. Be one.